Hey team, I have been working on this challenge, the results summary component from Frontend Mentor. And way over here, this is where I ended up. Now, the nice thing about this is it is completely responsive, as it should be, right? It collapses down, looking pretty sharp, right? And what I want to talk about today is this colored section, because I did something kind of unique. I used a table for this, okay? It looks like table data, so I did exactly that. And I want to show how I made that work, okay? So over here into my code, I have reset things. I've gotten rid of some of the styles, and I have emptied out that table so that we can start from scratch just for the table component, okay? I'm going to start adding some markup. So right here, reaction, memory, verbal, visual, grab it all. Wrap it up inside, whoops, that's weird. Wrap it up, not format. Wrap it with an exception, which is, with an abbreviation, not an exception, which is TH. Now, because it's going horizontal, we want to set the scope of this equal to row, okay? I didn't need the quotes, it would have added those for me, but there it is, okay? Right below that, multiple cursors again, we're going to grab this and wrap these in a TD, okay? So nice and simple. We can go back in with the grabbing just the first numbers this time and wrapping those in strong, okay? That way it's nice and chunky, just like the text here, okay? We got some color information. We'll talk about that in a second, but this is bold and this is not, okay? Actually, it is bold, but we're going to color it a little bit different, okay? So with that in mind, we have all this. I'm going to grab these lines. And if you've watched a previous video, you might remember that there are occasions where I drop it all onto a single line to make my abbreviations easier. So now I can grab all of these, okay? Moving this over so we can see it. Grab all these, bring up my wrap with abbreviation tool. And here I'm going to wrap it with that TR, okay, for table row. Last time into the mix, we're going to grab all of this and wrap it with table and T body. We might not actually need T body for this, but good habits, okay, because it is the body of the table, okay? You might have headers, you might have footers, but for us, we probably always have some sort of a table body. So that's just good semantic information, and we are going to use that. At this point, I can save it, go back to my code, hit refresh, and you're going to see that, yeah, it looks like a very plain table. Get rid of this for a second so we can actually see stuff, okay? We need to start styling this out. But before we do, I want to get the icons in here, okay? What I've done with the icons is kind of unique too, where I have added right here, there's the end tag, and all the way at the top, just after the body is the start tag, and inside of here I have created a symbol SVG, okay? So there are 4 of these symbols inside of here, and that is very easy to do. You just go find your code inside of your images. If you open one of these with the text and then format that, there's the format, okay? This was the memory. So what I did was I cleaned this out, okay, and got rid of, I think it was the view box, if I remember correctly. Let's go and check. ID, fill, view box. Oh, I got rid of the width and height as well. So width and height are gone. It just has the fill in the view box and then an ID. And I can go and grab this part, change it to symbol. And again, that ID equals to whatever you're going to call it. Copy and paste it, put it right in here, and you will see that I've already done that. Here's icon memory ready to go. So I did that 4 times inside of this SVG. There's the namespace just on the SVG. Width and height are 0 so that it is hidden. Now, why? The reason for doing this is because I might want this in multiple places. Maybe I'm doing my results and my friend's results and my team results all on the same page. I can reuse those icons as much as possible, but I only need to download them once. Okay. So this is a bit of a performance thing. Okay. Doing it this way. Didn't need it for this specific example, but again, building those good habits. Okay. So with that in mind, I'm going to go way, way down back to the table. And right here in the row, actually grabbing all of them, we can do a little magic here. Okay. Hit enter a couple times, and now we are going to type SVG. Okay. So SVG, we tab that. Apparently it doesn't want to complete when I'm using multiple cursors, so we will just go and wrap that. And this is going to be, what do I need here? Oh, class. That's what I'm forgetting. There it is. Make sure that we are actually in the quotes. So icon and close it off. Brilliant. So while we're here, this is where we use the symbols. Okay. And for that, we actually have a use tag. We self-close it just like images. For images, we don't need that self-closing thing, but for SVGs, we definitely do, okay? And then we use href, and we point to our specific symbol, which in this case is icon something, okay? So because I have multiple cursors, I can just go icon reaction, okay? Icon dash reaction. I totally forgot the number sign, so don't forget that. It should be number, icon, whatever. Save it, go and check it out. Excellent. They're all the same thing because we set them all to the same thing, right? Let's go and fix that. This one is memory. This one is verbal. And finally, visual, okay? Save it. Now it's looking really good. And you'll notice that they are already colored, but we are going to set it so that we can color these however we want. So now that we're here, we can jump over to our styles, okay? I already have this handy dandy to do. We can get rid of that and type table, okay? So most of the work is going to be somewhere inside of this table. It's going to be tables, THs, TDs, a little bit on the table row, and then some exceptions for the colors, okay? So for the table, we're going to set table layout to be fixed. And by doing this, if we set our width, our inline size, okay, to 100%, our width, now it's going to expand out to fill the space, okay? A little bit hard to see, but we can see that this one grows the whole distance, and then because of the alignment of this one, it goes right to the end. So everything is taken up as much space as possible, which is exactly what we want, okay? Moving on, we have some border stuff. So border collapse. I don't actually know if we need this one, but good habits again. Separate. So we are going to allow the cells to push away from each other. If we set this to collapse, if you actually had a border, right? Say a border of 1 pixel, and you set this to collapse like this, then each of those borders, right? You have one cell with a 1 pixel border and another cell with a 1 pixel border. Without collapse, they would be 2 pixels, right? They would jam up against each other. But if you set it to collapse, it'll only ever be 1 pixel. In this case, I do want separate because I'm about to push these apart. And the way you do that is with border spacing, okay? Border spacing will allow us to force those individual cells apart. And for that, we are going to use -- space 200, which in my case is 16 pixels. Before I do that, I want to add a little bit of color to this, okay? So TH and TD. And I'm going to set the background color to be tomato, just so that we can see something. So if I refresh this, whoops, go away. Don't do that. There it is. If I refresh this, you're going to see that we have this gap here, right? This horizontal gap, because it's the gap in the horizontal direction, and the vertical gap. We only want the vertical gaps, not the horizontal. We can actually fix that with a second measurement, which comes first of all things. So right here, set it to 0. Normally with any sort of margin or padding, it would be top to bottom first, but in this case, it's left to right first, which is a little bit weird. Okay, and there we are. You'll also notice that it opens up a little bit. So technically, if we look at this right now, there's some spacing on the very top and on the bottom. Okay. Now I've done something inside of my styles. That's that orange part there, where I've subtracted that out. So I've done the math in my head to make that work. It's a little bit of a catch, but for the semantics, I think it's a good plan. Okay. But something to know that, yeah, the border spacing also affects top and bottom and the left and right, the outside edges. Kind of peculiar. Moving down the page. Okay, we want to get TR. Okay, right here. So what goes in here? Okay. You might think that your background color should have gone onto the TR. Sometimes you can do that, but when you start to mix that with border radius, which you absolutely cannot put on the table row, then things get a little bit funky. So what I like to do is I like to put my my custom properties in here. We are going to be coloring these. So if we go back, we're going to be coloring the individual rows, or at least that's what it's going to look like. But in order to get this done, we want some custom stuff. We can't put it on the table itself because that won't, that'll trickle down. So we'll only be able to set it once, and then we won't be able to use it again, right? That's not so handy for us. So inside of table row, I'm going to set up two things here. I'm going to set up row color, just like this, and that's going to be, whoops, var -- row - color. Or gray. Okay. So we're going to set it as a default, just to be sure that we have something. The other thing that I want in here is the corner radius, because we're going to use that really 4 times. We have to do it twice for the TH and twice for the TD in order to do this. And it's kind of weird. So let's go and do that. That's going to be, corner radius, okay, like this. And again, that's going to be a var. It's going to be -- corner - radius, just in case we should ever need that again. We won't here, but again, making it flexible, right? And that is also going to be another variable, which is -- space - 200, okay? Is that right? No, it is not, because this is the radius. Sorry, I don't know where I was going with that, but it is radius small. Okay. VS Code breaking my heart here. So let's go and clean some of this up. It should only be 1 var inside of 1 var. It's because I didn't have the semicolon. My copy of VS Code doing silliness. But now we can use these in places. Okay. So as an example, if we go back down to our TH, our background color, okay, we're going to change this to be a different thing. Now, I want to use this for testing purposes, so I don't want to get rid of that yet. But another background color, okay, this is going to be HSL, okay, and we're going to go from whatever our current color is. So -- row color, okay. That should be in parentheses, and it should have a var in front of it. And now we can go HSL /5%. Okay. And you might wonder where I got that 5% from. Well, back to the file. Okay. if I'm looking at this, this one is red 95%. This one is, whoops, click on it. Yellow 95%, click on the box. Green 95%. And if you go into any of these and examine them, it is two colors. It's our original green right there. That's our original green with white on top of it, 95%. Could we have used color mix for this? Yeah, we could have. Okay, we could have done that. Would have been just as easy. But because our background is white, I'm cheating a little bit here and just saying that I only want 5% of the green, which adds up to exactly what I need, 95% white, right? So here we are, 5%, and good. So if we go and review it now, it should be very faint gray, which is very hard to see if you have any sort of contrast issues with your eyes. This might not be a great challenge, okay? But that's what they picked, so that is what I'm running with today, okay? The other thing that we need is the font, so let's go and do that. Font here, we're going to set that to -- typography, heading body. Why did I do heading body and not content? Oh, I did all of these wrong. I did something silly with my names. I should probably fix that later. But this should have been something like content body, right? Was not paying attention. So now you get to see it for all eternity in this video, okay? Padding, okay? Padding is going to be -- space, 200 as well. We save it just to see what's going on. Turning tomato back on, refreshing, and things are starting to take shape, okay? You'll notice that things are starting to line up really nice. We need to take care of that border radius. Let's go and do that. So on our TH, okay? Because TH and TD are different. They are, they're in a row. TH comes first, TD is second. So here we are, okay? Border radius. We have 4 measurements, just like this. This is top left, top right, bottom left. It goes clockwise, right? So we need to affect this first one, which is var -- corner radius, and the last one, var -- corner radius, okay? Now if we go and look at this, we're going to see things start to take shape. This is a good thing. We can go and do that with the TD as well. So TD down here. And because we're pretty close, let's just go and duplicate this. Add a 0 at the start, get rid of the middle zeros. Add a 0 at the end and save it, okay? So now we have both sides of that, okay? And what else do we need? Well, we will need 2 more things in here, okay? So the first thing is color, obviously, okay? Let's go do that. That is _row color. Save it, refresh it. Now everything's going gray because that's what we set. We can change this back so it looks kind of nice, right? The other thing that we'll need is the icon, right? We need some spacing on the icon, and we did not take care of that, which is kind of annoying, right? In fact, we need to go and add a little bit of extra markup. So back over to the code. Let's move this sideways for a second, okay? And we have these 2 things. So let's go and grab all the SVGs, this one, this one, this one, down arrow key and over so that we have all of this stuff. We are going to wrap it, not format, we are going to wrap it in a p tag, and we are going to use a class of cluster, which is something that I've talked about in other videos. It's a way of making sure that things line up a little bit easier, okay? So now with that, we should be able to go and see that things are starting to take shape. The space is still kind of wrong, so let's go and get that that is right over here, back to our CSS, back to our TH, and right here, cluster space, we set that to 150, which is 12 pixels, okay? So dash dash space 150, okay? So again, down here somewhere we have cluster. Its only purpose is to display flex stuff. You'll notice that I did not put cluster on the TH itself. Table cells, table rows, tables themselves, they all have semantic information, and I don't want to lose that. So I put the P tag inside of that and styled that specifically, okay? That way everything stays in lockstep and really semantic, really healthy, okay? Going back to it, we can go up, checking it really fast. A little bit less space, things are looking good, okay? We can go up and we can start working on the TD, okay? TD has a few different things going for it. So it has that border radius. It also has a text align left, right? Sorry, not left. We want right. Whoa, it's jumping around. Let's try that again. There we go. Text align right. Inside of there, we need a color. That color is going to be another variable. Okay, so for some reason, I'm not sure why I did it this way, but here we go again. Okay. It is going to be our dark color. What is, hold on. It's so weird to me. I was about to type the completely wrong variable here. So my notes are slightly out of date, but here we are. So right here I have color, and it is color content default. Okay. Color content default lines up with the dark gray blue that they are using in the file. So for some reason my notes had dark gray blue, which was throwing me, and I wanted to fix that. So I did. Okay. Now the color on this is going to be 50% or 0.5 if you're doing decimals, and that should do it. Okay. At least for that. We also need font weight. Okay. So for some reason, font weight here, it's a little bit different. We're going to do all of it as bold. Again, I think I mentioned that before, but here is font weight 700. Okay. So everything is nice and bold. We can go and check that out right here. Okay. Now we don't want everything to be this color. We want the strong to be this color, but everything else should actually be light. So it's not quite playing right. I did something here. Right. I added a comma, which I totally should not have done. There we go. Moving down, inside of here, we have that strong. Okay. And we are going to add, again, color. It's going to be dash dash color default. Brilliant. And our margin. Okay. So here's a weird one. Okay. Margin right of 4 pixels, which I'm pretty sure I have space 50. Not sure why I didn't use that. There it is. What that does is it adds just a touch of space right here between these two things. Okay. There is no space here because of the tag. The tag isn't playing right, so it's not adding a space for us, which is pretty annoying. I could have wrapped this part in another tag and added the space there. That might have helped, but we'll just push it a little bit with margin right. In fact, if we were doing this right, it should be margin inline end, okay, which results in the exact same thing, okay? Now, we haven't added the color, but before I do that, I really want to take care of this icon, okay? If we add icon into our table, okay, we can do that with SVG. In fact, because the color is attached to the paths, we should actually do any SVG. And you might think, okay, I'm going to do this I'm going to add stroke, and I'm going to set it to current color, okay? And this will not work. The reason that it won't work is because this current color or this SVG is technically not here. It's not in the table. Yes, we did in fact use it in the table, right? We used it here, but the actual contents of this SVG are still way up here, which is kind of a gotcha, right? It's like we were expecting to be able to color the SVGs specific to the table. Now I'm here to tell you that that's not really how it works. Annoying, right? But if we move these out, okay, just like this, now everything works, okay? And you'll notice that we did use the stroke, and we set it to whatever the current color is. Because up here, right here inside of our TH, we set that color to be the row color. So when this takes effect, this SVG will actually use that. But it's kind of annoying that we have to set this up outside of our table, right? Not a great experience, but it does get the job done, okay? And that's because I made the decision to use symbols. So a little extra gotcha there. But now we're ready. We can actually add our exceptions, okay? So right here, I'm going to add in an exception for data dash type. I'm going to set it equal to reaction like this. And I'm going to set dash dash row dash color to be our color, okay? Which is dash dash color content red. There it is. In fact, I'm going to do this a couple times. So let's go and duplicate it 3 more times. We have memory and verbal, and finally, visual, okay? Red, yellow, yes. This one, I think I used teal, yes, and this one is blue, okay? Just setting these isn't going to do anything, okay? If we go and check that, absolutely no change because we haven't used these, okay? So going right back down to our table for the final time, finding that TR tag, grabbing all of them, and now, whoops, my cursor jumping around, but inside of the TR tag, we're going to add data dash type equals reaction, okay? Save it, go back. Now everything is that nice red color, okay? So we can go and fix this really fast. The first one is memory, okay? Sorry, the second one is memory. The third one is verbal. The fourth one is visual. And there it is, okay? Everything is looking really sharp. And in fact, if we wanted to, we could actually do it a different way where we take this row color and toss it on here just as a way of seeing this. So here's style. Whoops. Do it in the right place. I'm not sure why my HTML does that. Row color of, let's say, fire brick. Okay. Just like this. That should actually take precedence over all of this. So if we go back and refresh it, everything gets a little bit dark. If we make it something like Rebecca purple, okay. Go and refresh that again. Now it is that purplish color. So we have absolute control over this. If we needed to do something special, we absolutely can. Okay. For now, I'm going to get rid of the style, save it, and we are there. So what did we do? Well, we worked through some table stuff, right? Some frustrating table stuff. I made some decisions. This is a place where maybe I added tech debt, right? We'll talk about that in a second. But we started with a table and figured out what our markup is like there. It looks very table-like to me, so I stayed with a table, and I went and styled it with table styles, a lot of table styles, maybe a lot more than if I had just used a div or something like that, right? Especially in light of having to do the TH and the TD separately. But I did. That was a decision that I made, okay? We added some variables. Again, I want to affect them at a row level. So I had to add these custom variables here, these custom properties here. And then I use them inside of that, okay? Because of my decision to use symbols, again, this is where maybe I added tech debt, right? Maybe I should have just used them directly. But because of that, we had to do a little bit of magic here with the SVG, where we put it outside. And for this, I use current color because it's going to be the same color as the text. So I use current color. There it is. Current color is awesome, okay? Use it as much as possible. But yeah, I used it there. And then we went and added some exceptions, okay? And with that, now I have a very elegant solution based on tables. And I don't think that you should be afraid of tables, okay? A lot of people are like, oh, we can't use tables today because they're hard to get responsive right and stuff like that. And I say, well, I mean, yeah, if you're doing these huge sweeping data tables, but for this little bit of stuff, I think it's absolutely the right decision, okay? And it works in here, right? We were able to add in our markup, use our SVGs in there. We were able to style it and position it and get it all right. So lots of magic stuff in there, which begs the question, what do you think, right? I always leave off with the same place. What do you think of tables? Do you hate them? Do you love them? Were you surprised by this? Would you actually do this, right? And then, of course, all the styling in there, all the little gotchas with not being able to add border radius to the TR, right? Stuff like that. Border collapse, border spacing to get everything spaced out right. Lots of stuff in here. I was pleasantly surprised by some of the stuff that I found in here, especially around things like border spacing and the fact that it affects the top and bottom. Again, I had to back that math out in my head. So lots of interesting stuff. Leave your comments, like, subscribe, do all that cool stuff. Let me know what you think, because I am very, very interested in what you think of this approach. But until then, I will see you in the next one.